Okay, guys. So going back live as I know you are being notified. And the folks, hey user, how are you doing? Carrie, welcome. Lots of folks that are coming in. Glad to have you. Um, it's the first time I've warned anybody that I was ever going to go live, so let's see how that works. Jamie, good morning. Actually, it's lunchtime now. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, welcome. I see we got a few folks coming in. Evan, or is that Eva? I think that's Eva. Anyway, Josh. And I'm not one of those people. I'm not going to say everybody's name as they come in, but it's really glad. I am really glad to see everybody. David, how are you doing? And today we're going to be talking about migraines. So I'll go ahead and kind of, instead of continue to do that, I'll go ahead and tell you that um, we're going to talk about some different sort of treatments for migraines. One of the things I cannot do in this forum, I cannot give you direct medical advice. I can give you advice on things I'd ask your doctor about and what I might do in your shoes. Okay. Um, hey, Amy, how are you? Um, and so, thinking about migraines, um, obviously, it's pretty passionate topic for a lot of people, and because a lot of people suffer from it, the amount of morbidity that migraines and the amount of people that are affected by it is just probably much more than we're going to get in this live. So, um, but one of the things that I wanted to go over is some ideas for treatment options and things like that. Maybe some of the questions you might have about migraines. Um, one of the leading sciences in migraines is the fact that uh, CGRP, which is a neurotransmitter, kind of plays one of the key roles in migraines. Um, and so we have a lot of people that are just kind of going in and out. But for those of you that are not staying, it was good to see you anyway. Um, and some things that we try to do in primary care. So, what are some things that y'all do over the counter to try and fight your migraines? What kind of medicines are y'all currently taking? Mhm. Mhm. Hello, everyone that's going in and out. Glad to have you stopping by, Bobby. Again, what kind of extra strength Tylenol? Believe it or not, I don't think enough people give Tylenol credit when it comes to migraines. People think that Tylenol, I think Tylenol is one of those medications that likes to be underestimated. Isn't caffeine good to open the blood vessels? It can be. Sometimes caffeine, Excedrin, by the way, sometimes caffeine can cause a migraine. So it's one of those things. And Emgality and Ubrelvy, those are fantastic. We're going to get into those. Those are the CGRP therapies, and we'll get into those. Right now, focusing on the who uses. Do I have anybody that uses Midol? Uh, for migraines. Yep, Imitrex nose spray. I love the Imitrex nose spray as far as any trip down. Again, Nurtec, we're going to get into that. See, there you go. Therapy has worse caffeines. There you go. Topamax is what we're going to, when we get to talk about suppressive therapy, I'm going to start with Topamax. And thank you for the happy Valentine's Day. Y'all are awesome. Deb, it's good to see you in with us. Um, I invited Deb to join us. She's one of my patients. Hello, I don't need it. Thank you. Um, are you referring to Sonny? Are you referring to the nasal spray? Yeah, it's absolutely safe. Um, the only reason, so Deb is one of my patients, and okay, I'll come back to that. Hey, how are you doing, Deb? I'm good. Okay. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I think everybody else can too. Got Botox. Okay, let's talk about so over the counter. Let me just tell you my go-tos for over the counter. If I'm in your shoes and I'm taking something over the counter for headaches and I don't have chronic kidney disease, y'all hear that important caveat. and I don't have chronic kidney disease, I take two Aleve and two Tylenol. I call it two and two. Um, and oh yeah, uh, uh, and so that's my go-to. I feel like if I don't take a little bit of Tylenol, I don't quite get the response. And yes, I am in the South. I have used goodies. I have used BC powders. They are absolutely all these things are useful for something that isn't more than I'm going to say if you have more than 4 headache days a month, you need to be talking to your doc. Would you agree, Deb?
Yes, definitely.
If you have more than 4 headache days a month, and one of the most important things for you to do is actually keep track of your headache days. Not in the sense of, kind of like a morbid kind of, um, you know, uh, journal that way, but it does. I agree. Okay, so Anjan, that's basically called a complicated migraine. And so if you're having more than 4 a day, a month, you basically do need to benefit. You would benefit from some sort of suppressive therapy. Um, okay, and yeah, TMJ is another reason to have migraines. That's another great point. But you basically would benefit from some form of suppressive therapy. And the first medication that a neurologist or a primary care provider is going to do yes, yes. See, cervical disc disease can. The first thing they're going to do, hey zebra, is they're going to put you on a Topamax more than likely. Okay, Topamax or propranolol are first line suppressive medications for migraines, and so for that person that said they were on Topamax, tell me something. How's it doing for you? Yeah. Botox is definitely a good treatment, but I think to a certain degree, I like to go through a few different things before I get to Botox. But who's on Topamax, and how do you feel like it's doing for you? Okay, heard they've got a propranolol, so great on Topamax. Do you feel like okay? Somebody said that Topamax made theirs worse. For anybody that's on Topamax, do any of you feel like that it kind of makes your depression worse? So some of the things it is not a controlled substance, but does anybody think maybe it makes your depression worse? Yeah. See, that's my main reason. When I began to look beyond Topamax, I look beyond Topamax for two different reasons. One, if I feel like the Topamax flattens my patient's affect too much, then I don't. Then I kind of try to move away from Topamax. Um, if I feel like that they didn't have depression before I put them on Topamax, and Topamax kind of brought about depressive things, it can be. That's high. It can be. That's why I'm asking the question. Anyway, when I see their affect change, I begin to think Topamax is not a good long term solution. But plenty of people so don't discount Topamax with migraines. There are plenty of people out there who are on Topamax and their lives are better because of it. Okay, and the reason why I say that is there is a lot of great modalities now for headaches, but like Botox, Emgality, Aimovig, all these other new medications, Nurtec, um, Ubrelvy, all of these things. You know what the biggest problem with it is? Expensive. Okay. And I believe that before you commit to something that may end up costing you a bunch of money, you ought to at least try something that's available as a generic. I call it everybody needs a Hyundai phase because my very first car was a Hyundai Excel 89 hatchback. Okay. So I know Hyundais are a lot better now than they were when I got them. But that's why I say everybody everybody needs a Hyundai phase. I take Mobile for PTSD nightmares. Not sure. I think you meant to say something. Mobic. Okay. Hey there. Hello, everyone. I appreciate all the highs. So anyway, if you're on, all I'm saying is for those people that are on Topamax, still, there's two questions you need to ask when you go next time you go talk to your providers about headaches. The first one is is this as good as it gets? Okay, those headache journals, um, that's fantastic. Again, when you get to Botox, if you're the right patient, it really can be life changing. But the question you need to ask is this as good as it gets? Because I think for the most part, most people on Topamax, that's not the answer is not usually yes. Um, mhm. There you go. That's why cookbooks don't make good medicine therapy. Um, anyway, the second question is this as good as it gets? And the second question is, are the side effects worth it? And we already have that conversation when it relates to Imitrex. Are the side effects worth it? Because Imitrex is and all the triptans can be very good medications, and they absolutely can stop a headache in its tracks. But then a lot of you have to go to bed for the entire day, and a lot of the new medicines don't require you to go to take that nap, and so that's why I like them. Ongoing studies on migraines. Yep, you should. That's good advice. I hope other people are reading. Um, so those are the two questions. Same thing with propranolol. The one thing I like about propranolol versus Topamax, what I like about propranolol for a good cheap version is that it works without some of the depressive side effects. And what I don't like about propranolol is it's very limited. Either it works or it doesn't, and usually adding more doesn't improve its efficacy. Um, okay, we're not really talking about that one today, Airboat, but you can drop it in the Q&A for me later. Um, and So let's assume that you're on either one of those things and you're just not you feel like you're just not getting anywhere. First of all, it's absolutely okay to tell you need to say um, you're probably skinny if you're still on it, you're probably on too much. Propranolol, when you get too high of a dose, can make you cranky. So I'm again not medical advice. Talk to your doc about it. Anyway, moving back to, let's say that it's not the CGRPs are not working. So you're on gabapentin for headaches, TJ. Go ahead, Paul. I'll try and answer it if it's related to the topic. Anyway, um, if you're having it, if it's absolutely fine for you to begin to have that conversation. Okay, so you're on it for. Let me ask you a question before I move to the new modalities. Um, Tell me how much gabapentin you're on, or how in the world how your neurologist has you taking it for your headaches. I'm just curious about the dosing, and I'll have an opinion on that too. But I'm just curious. Like Qulipta, absolutely. But again, you kind of got to go through your Hyundai phase before you get to Qulipta because it's about 1,200 nowadays. If it's a branded medication and it's in this topic, it's about $1,200. Um, I understand. Let's see, has constant migraine, has tried everything. Talk to for your husband. Talk to him about whether this is actually a cluster headache and not a migraine, and that may be why he's not responding. So talk to your PCP about whether this is not a migraine. This is actually a cluster headache. Anyway, uh, yeah. Did your question get scrolled up? Ask it again. I'm sorry. I'm going to pause so Paul can ask his question. And then I will go back into CGRPs. Do, 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 do. Uh-huh. Propranolol is not that bad for blood pressure as far as it relates to that, but I agree that other medicines might still be useful. Brant Brantley. Okay. Anyway, I'm still looking for Zomig is pretty awesome. There we go. I take gabapentin, but okay. Uh, I'm sorry, Paul, but we're sticking with the. You're having a general pain question. I need you to put that in the Q&A because we're going to stick with topic today. Anyway, so I'm going to move into the CGRP therapies. If you've not tried either Nurtec or excuse me, yeah, if you've not tried Nurtec or Ubrelvy for your abortive medicine, if you've never ever tried it, ask your doctor if they have. Yeah, rizatriptan is good, but again, a lot of times it makes you take a nap. But if you've never tried either one of those, then yes, I'm telling you to go ahead and ask your PCP or your neurologist the next time you're there if you could at least try it to see how it compares to your other abortives. If you're doing fine on Maxalt, if you're doing fine on rizatriptan, no, rizatriptan is Maxalt. I'm trying to think of there's another really cool triptan that's not sumatriptan. Anyway, if you're doing fine on those, still ask because I'm interested in you not having as much downtime. Okay, so just be mindful to give them a question. Um, has me not okay. So so if you're going to do a suppressive medication for CGRP, I highly recommend that you try it because so someone said a little while ago, Qulipta for the win, which is a daily CGRP therapy, a pill. You know, I think it's fantastic. I've had some great response from it. As everything, the insurance company doesn't want to pay for it, but it's usually I usually can get it coverage. Um, I understand. So what I'm saying is, most of the time for the CGRPs, it's a try before you buy. We have samples. I have samples of Aimovig. I have samples of Emgality. There's a third one that rep doesn't call on me, but anyway, um, and you can really get an appreciation. And what I like about the injectable CGRP therapies, once a month, y'all. Once a month is a whole lot easier to keep up with than taking it every day. Um, You're not wrong about it being a mood stabilizer, Brantley. But I'm talking about folks that that maybe don't need that extra. So my second suggestion is if you need suppressive therapy and you're considering CGRP, and even though it's a needle, try it because you get a whole month's worth of therapy in a moment, and you don't have to think about that suppressive therapy again. The amount of life-changing stuff it can do is phenomenal. So, um, let me talk briefly about Fioricet, butalbital. I don't know if many of y'all have had issues with your doctors being willing to prescribe that, and I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of it either. Although I do use it. Anybody here on Bupap or Fioricet?
I used to be.
Did you? What did
Yeah.
you like about Bupap, and what did you not like?
It definitely helped with the headaches. What I did not like was the side effects. It made me loopy a little bit.
Mhm.
I had to take a nap when I
Okay.
took it. It definitely gave me a lot more downtime with the headache.
Good. The other thing that we found, and the reason why I'm not as big a fan of it anymore, is especially if you take it on a regular basis, it causes as many headaches as it helps when it leaves the body. And
I
so,
have heard causes kickback headaches.
yep, it almost causes a little bit of a withdrawal symptom. You don't get full on withdrawal symptoms, but it does. But if you're trying to treat a headache and you get a headache when it wears off, that's that's a problem. And so the
I was
problem,
talking about headache coming back.
yeah. And so what happens is that I have people that wanted me to put them on Fioricet every day, like I need at least 30 tablets a month, and we were just chasing our tail. So if you're getting pushback, I just need you to understand why. It's not that it never works. For people who have 4 headache days or less a month, Fioricet can actually be pretty helpful. So one of the things you'll like about me is I'm not an absolute guy, meaning I try very hard not to get so stuck up in my opinion that I can't listen to an a when I think Deb would chime in on this, but when I say that we have shared decision making, it really is shared decision making.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that I'll do stuff just that I think is
No,
harmful, but at some point we have to find a way. We have to figure out that not everything's worth fighting over. You know. Okay.
it's not fun to fight with you either.
Relpax. That's what I was trying to remember. Thank you, Trudy. Relpax was the other triptan that is pretty spiffy. Okay. Uh, the most important thing I would say for those of you that are suffering from migraines is the newest thing isn't always the best. Try the generics first. Try and get out cheap if you can. Listen, it's all money, okay? And it doesn't. Eventually, it's worth spending the money. Yeah. Okay, but what happened to Mitarine? Mitarine is specific for neurologic headaches that are caused by hypotension. So it's not that it's gone away. No, it's still there. Oh, you're talking about the over the counter. Never mind. I don't know about that, honestly. I don't know why it's gone. So I'll just tell you I don't know. The good starting point is finding a PCP that you can talk with. The most important thing is, oh yeah, absolutely. I think I mentioned Nurtec, but it's in the same category as Ubrelvy. And Nurtec is really cool because it has both an abortive indication and a suppressive indication. I use it more for abortive than suppressive because I like my patient to get that one shot and then have Nurtec to use um, as to still have at their disposal. But I really like if at least one of your medications can be generic, because sometimes you're going to run into insurance issues, and it's good to have something that you can actually afford if insurance didn't cover it. Yes, that's your user. You're talking about taking Nurtec for suppression, and it really does help. Um, y'all, when okay, one more thing. When you're taking a headache journal, you don't have to be a writer. Okay, it's fine for you as far as the PCP needs to know. Yes, no on your calendar. Headache day, yes. Headache day, no. Tells me 60%. It's a really good starting place. No, there's no generic Nurtec. It's only been out 2 years. So anyway, don't feel like you have to, because honestly, your PCP is not going to fully appreciate just how, what's the word I'm looking? I won't be able to completely put myself in your skin. I want to understand at the same level that you understand, but it would be wrong of me to say that I did. Okay. And I think that that's why it's called shared decision making. If I can't truly put myself in your skin, then woo, frankly, that's just evil. I agree with that. But uh, having those conversations is the most important piece of the puzzle. That shared decision making. Rail packs, they are stingy as heck with it, aren't they? Uh, Thank you, Hi, for the good RX recommendation. It's not going to help you with some things, but it'll definitely help you with some of those triptans. Very specifically, you can get some of the more exotic triptans for a lot less money if you use good RX. No, but there are plenty of people who say I act like house, so I'll just leave it like that. Except that all except for the part where I pop a Vicodin and go on. If I pop anything, and it's not very often, it's my Ritalin. And quite frankly, I most of the time I'm a delightfully unmedicated ADHD, like today. If you haven't picked it up. Anyway, all right, let's pick a different topic because we still got about 7 minutes. See if we can find a short topic. Deb, you got one?
Not right off my head. You caught me off guard.
You weren't ready.
You know, pain,
What's that?
shoulder pain, getting older.
Okay, shoulder pain is definitely, first of all, shoulder pain is both a consequence of getting older and not necessarily a consequence of getting older. So make sure you get it evaluated. Um, because it's absolutely normal to develop arthritis as you get younger every day. Um, and sometimes the best thing you can do is just, a conservative treatment. But especially if you're having trouble with range of motion, including being unable to reach behind your back. You need to be evaluated for a partial rotator cuff tear, which could have happened at any point in your life and just didn't become a problem until you got older. So there's that.
the difference between osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis?
Whew, nope, that's a whole thank you, Deb. That one is definitely a whole, we will do an arthritis, live one day because, first of all, I have to tell you, I'm not necessarily an expert, in this area, but I can tell you that the simplest version is OA you're gonna get. RA is something that's in your genes, and it's an autoimmune thing. But you go and get OA. If you get enough birthdays, you go and get some osteoarthritis. This is your non-glorified body. Let me go ahead and mention Jesus at least one time while I'm
Right.
live. You go in. This is your non-glorified body, and it is going to break down. Okay, and so Jesus said it would. So you're going to get osteoarthritis, but when you have osteoarthritis, your doctor should at least be looking to make sure it's not also rheumatoid arthritis. And that's what I'll say about it today. All right, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and wrap. You say I keep putting off a total shoulder replacement. Keep putting off the shoulder. My advice is to keep putting it off. Now, you'll know when it's time, and you'll know when it's time to get the shoulder replaced. I'm not saying it's not a bad surgery, but here's my advice: it's the same surgery as the back. When you have total shoulder replacement, do nothing until they allow you to do it. And when they tell you to do everything they tell you to do. If you're going to go through all that, you better get all the range of motion you can get. And it's not as good. The shoulder that man's going to give you ain't as going to be as good as the one Jesus gave you. So, but this is my last recommendation for the day. Y'all have been fantastic. Thank you again. I love y'all. No buts. But um, do nothing to that shoulder. Don't move it any way that they tell you not to move it until it's done. And then when they tell you to move it, go gangbangers with that physical therapy. Do everything every time that they tell you to do it. And that's the only way to have a good outcome. What does Jesus have to do with healthcare? Junk, I hate to say it, but everything. I love
Everything.
y'all. No buts. And y'all heard me. Jesus has everything to do with it.